I'm pleased to stand and speak on motion 520 from my colleague Georgie Crozier. Naturally, Ambulance Victoria is one of the most essential of essential services. I can't think of any other organisation that has a more immediate effect on the lives of Victorians, and to have a successful, well-functioning ambulance service can perhaps have no other higher priority in this place. I also have a nephew who is a paramedic, has been a paramedic, and I know firsthand from his anecdotes and stories exactly how hard-working, how devoted our ambulance workers and paramedics are. There's one very strong hallmark of any organisation that is in trouble and struggling bad, and that is when an organisation loses the ability to reform itself. And I think we see that with Ambulance Victoria now, because what we have is endemic problems, systemic problems, problems with basic governance, problems with basic accountability, problems in the culture itself, and as per the terms of reference of the proposed inquiry, there will be many other issues as well. And when we talk endemic, the issues of call taking and dispatch, ambulance ramping, and the incredible working hours that we expect our paramedics to perform, this is not a new issue, this is an endemic issue. This is an issue that the organisation itself has not been able to reform. And when we talk systemic, we know that the procurement practices, the contract management and oversights and the adequacy to ensure transparency and fairness and value for public funds, these have problems as well. They're systemic problems. They're not problems that the organisation has been able to resolve internally or with the government over years. And then we come to the allegations of fraud and embezzlement and the adequacy of government controls and oversight to prevent that kind of misconduct. So now we're talking about basic governance, basic organisational governance that any organisation, whether you're public or private, must abide by. Now, if your systems internally are breaking down there, that is a very, very strong canary in the coal mine, that the organisation has some genuine fundamental problems. And if this fraud has been going on for years, now, as someone who worked in financial services, if people collude within an organisation, you cannot prevent a fraud. You cannot prevent a fraud, but you must have the systems to identify a fraud once it's occurred. Now, if your organisation, internal governance has broken down to the extent you do not have the systems in the government and the oversight that you can identify the fraud, and you don't identify it for a number of years, that is, you've gone through audits, you've gone through financial years, you're out the other side and you still haven't identified it, then you have a genuine governance problem within your organisation that you need to address. And again, this is systematic, this is a number of years. So once an organisation has lost the ability to reform itself, it's in trouble, it's in genuine trouble, and you must then look deeply at why is it breaking down internally, why is it no longer meeting the goals to which it's subscribed, and what are both the internal and the external factors that make that so. And that's why an inquiry is important, because we're not just talking about the internal factors, we're talking about the external factors. And in order to objectively look at those external factors, you need an inquiry, because a government simply reviewing itself is really an internal review. So it doesn't give the objectivity or the scrutiny that this requires. Now this problem manifests in many ways, and it manifests into lives, and we've all heard the statistics of ambulance ramping, the lack of availability, the effect of lives, and for every large headline tragedy that there are, and there are too many of those, we know there are many, many tiny tragedies of people waiting for an ambulance in a time of crisis and trauma. There are many families whose problems go on many years beyond because of our failure to address the inherent problems that we've got here. And I'd like to take up my Greens colleagues' comments on community health as well, and early intervention. And I think this is a really excellent example, because there's a fantastic organisation in Red Ells Creek called HMS Community Paramedics, who do exactly what we say. They do the early intervention with qualified paramedics who are not in the ambulance system, retired, stepped down for any other reasons. They estimate that they take 40 ambulance trips off the road per day by the work they do, because they go and change the bandage, or they go and dispense a pill, And this organisation, and a few others similar to them, have been banging on the door of government to say, let us have a role, let us have a large role, because we are a large part of that solution. And I really believe in that as a solution. And this inquiry is a wonderful opportunity for it to get people like that to the table and help them be part of the solution, because that's what we want. We want a solution. If it cannot reform itself, it needs help to be reformed. We need an inquiry to do that. If we all go in with a positive mindset that we're looking for out for the interests of Victorians, we can do so.